Laura Bennett had spent most of her life around old machines and broken ships. Living at the edge of a small starport, she knew the smell of oil and metal like the back of her hand. Most people avoided the scrap auctions, thinking it was a place for fools and desperate traders. Laura, however, saw it as opportunity. The things others discarded often held secrets that could be repaired or transformed. One morning she heard news of a ship being sold that no one could identify. It was said to be alien in design. No one wanted to touch it, calling it cursed or too dangerous. Laura's curiosity rose with every rumor. She made her way to the auction, walking past rusted freighters and abandoned cargo containers that littered the dusty yard. Her boots crunched against gravel and the occasional metal scrap. The sun, or what passed for it on this remote world, cast a warm glow on the strange shapes of broken vessels. Some looked like bones of creatures that never existed, twisted and strange. The alien ship stood apart from the rest. Its hull was sleek and smooth, with lines that seemed almost organic. The surface shimmered in ways Laura could not describe, almost like it breathed under her gaze. Other buyers murmured nervously, peering from a distance. The auctioneer called out, noting that the ship was being sold strictly as scrap. It had no identification, no log, no warranty. Laura studied it quietly, running her hand along the hull despite warnings. A faint vibration traveled through her fingers. The metal pulsed in a rhythm almost like a heartbeat. She could not explain it, but felt drawn to the ship. There was something alive about it, or at least something that wanted to be alive again. She raised her hand to bid. The auctioneer's voice echoed across the yard, announcing numbers and increments. A few people laughed at the human mechanic daring to bid on an alien ship. Laura ignored them. Her mind raced with possibilities. A ship like this could not belong to anyone ordinary. It was more than scrap. It had history, it had secrets, and she wanted to know them. She placed her bid and waited. The numbers climbed, but surprisingly no one else competed. Finally, the auctioneer nodded, confirming her purchase. The yard quieted as Laura signed the papers and paid the credits she had saved. With a deep breath, she looked at her prize. The ship seemed to glow slightly, as if acknowledging her ownership. Moving the ship was no small task. It required careful handling and delicate work. Laura had a small hangar at the edge of the starport where she often repaired vessels for traders. She arranged for a crane and a few helpers to move the alien craft inside. As it entered the hangar, the light reflected off the walls and she noticed details she had missed before. Symbols etched into the hull seemed to shift as she walked past. There were patterns she could not identify, curves that looked alive and flowing. Her mind buzzed with questions. How old was this ship? Who had built it? And why had no one else wanted it? Laura began her inspection. She had tools laid out and a small workbench set up near the control panel. The interior of the ship was unlike any vessel she had worked on before. The walls were smooth and seamless, and the control surfaces seemed almost like extensions of the hull itself. As she touched the surfaces, she felt faint pulses as if the ship were aware of her presence. Panels opened slightly when she approached, revealing compartments that looked like they had been waiting for her. It was unsettling but exciting. Laura felt her pulse quicken. She had repaired many ships in her life, but nothing like this. Hours turned into days as Laura worked. She cleaned the systems, examined circuits, and mapped the ship's unusual energy conduits. Some systems defied explanation, seeming to operate on principles she had never seen before. Yet despite the complexity, she felt an intuitive connection to the ship. There were moments when a low hum resonated through the hull, and she swore it responded to her thoughts. She spoke softly to it, almost like a habit, and sometimes she imagined the hum grew stronger. Other times the symbols would glow briefly, casting pale light on the walls of the hangar. Laura could not tell if she was imagining it, but she did not care. She was hooked. One evening, while examining the main propulsion area, Laura noticed a small compartment hidden behind a panel. Inside lay a crystal-like device that pulsed faintly. It seemed to react to her presence. She reached out and touched it. Immediately, the ship shuddered lightly. A display flickered to life, projecting a holographic image of a tall, elf-like woman with silver eyes. Laura jumped back, unsure if she had triggered some defense system. The projection smiled gently and spoke, though the language was alien. After a moment, the ship translated her words into common speech, startling Laura further. The woman introduced herself as Kalara and explained she was the guardian of the ship. Her tone was calm but firm. She warned Laura that the ship held secrets of great importance and that many were searching for it. Laura listened in awe and disbelief. She had never imagined that a scrap ship could house an intelligent being or contain such history. Kalara revealed that the ship had belonged to a ruler, an emperor who had concealed his identity among the stars. His enemies had sought to claim the ship for their own purposes, but Kalara had hidden it until someone worthy could awaken it. Laura's hands trembled as she realized the magnitude of what she had stumbled upon. She, a simple mechanic, had accidentally become the owner of a vessel that carried secrets that could change the balance of power across star systems. The days that followed were filled with careful planning. Laura balanced her repair work with learning from Kalara. The elf-like hologram guided her through alien systems and taught her to recognize signs of danger. Laura learned that the ship could operate far beyond the capabilities of any human vessel she had seen. The engines could create pulses of energy that bent space slightly, allowing faster movement across star clusters. The shields were responsive, adjusting to threats almost instinctively. Every part of the ship seemed designed to anticipate its pilot's actions. Laura also began noticing small changes in herself. She felt more confident, more aware of the environment around her. Her hands moved with more precision. Her mind absorbed the alien systems with surprising ease. Kalara explained that the ship could form a bond with its pilot, enhancing abilities and intuition. Laura found this hard to believe, but she could not deny the effect. She had spent years repairing other people's machines, but none had ever seemed to understand her in return. This ship was different. Meanwhile, word about the alien vessel began to spread quietly through the starport. Traders whispered about the human who had bought the strange ship. Some offered to buy it back at inflated prices, but Laura refused. Something deep inside told her she could not let it go. She needed to understand it first, to uncover its story and perhaps protect it from those who sought its power. Kalara's warnings echoed in her mind. The galaxy was not safe for a ship of this importance. Enemies could be anywhere, and the signal the ship had once sent might still draw them near. Laura knew she had to be careful, but also felt a thrill she had never experienced before. As nights passed, she continued repairs and learned more about the hidden compartments, the advanced navigation systems, and the strange organic interfaces. Every discovery made her more fascinated. She documented everything meticulously, taking notes and sketches. She repaired minor damage to the hull and circuits, preparing the ship for longer operations. Kalara helped her understand what to repair first and what could wait, making the work seem less overwhelming. Despite her exhaustion, Laura felt alive in a way she had never known. One night as she lay on the small bunk in the hangar, Laura stared at the ship. Its hull glowed faintly in the dim light, and she could hear the low hum that seemed almost like breathing. She thought about the man who had owned it, the emperor who had hidden among commoners, and the adventures the ship must have seen. Her mind wandered to what could come next. Could she explore distant systems with it? Could she protect it from those who would misuse it? Questions swirled in her head, but one thing was clear. She had stepped into a story far bigger than herself and had no choice but to follow it wherever it might lead. The days that followed Laura Bennett's acquisition of the alien ship were unlike anything she had known. She worked tirelessly, repairing systems she barely understood while learning from Kalara, the elf-like guardian who appeared in holographic form. The hangar became a place of constant activity. Tools clanged, sparks flew, and the hum of the ship pulsed like a living heart. Laura had repaired ships before, but never one that seemed to respond to her touch. Each system she fixed seemed to awaken a fragment of the ship's memory, as if the vessel itself was slowly returning to life. Late one night, while Laura was inspecting the main control interface, the ship shivered beneath her hands. A series of lights flickered along the walls and soft tones resonated in the hangar. The pulsing hum grew louder, almost rhythmic, drawing her closer. The holographic projection of Kalara appeared, her silver eyes glowing softly. She smiled and spoke in her calm voice, explaining that the ship was beginning to awaken fully, and that Laura's connection to it was strengthening. Kalara guided her through the processes, teaching her how to interact with the ship's neural network and energy conduits. Laura absorbed the lessons quickly, her hands moving with precision as she followed the instructions. The ship responded in kind, panels sliding open to reveal hidden compartments and advanced systems. Every movement seemed to harmonize with her intent. As the ship hummed, memories began to surface. Strange visions flashed across the holographic interface. Laura saw glimpses of battles among the stars, of vast fleets and towering structures. She saw a man with an aura of authority moving among humans and aliens alike, concealing his identity behind simple clothing. Kailara explained that this man was the Emperor of the Astral Dominion, who had hidden among commoners to escape political rivals. The ship had been his personal vessel, infused with advanced technologies and bound with Kailara's protective guidance. Laura listened intently, trying to comprehend the magnitude of what she had stumbled upon. The ship was more than a machine. It was a living archive of power, history, and secrets. Over the next few days, Laura worked on restoring the propulsion systems. The engines were unlike anything she had ever seen. They seemed to draw energy from space itself, bending light and gravity around them. Kailara explained that the ship could travel great distances without relying on conventional fuel. Laura carefully calibrated the systems under Kailara's guidance, her hands steady despite the complexity. The ship responded instantly, adjusting to her touch and the smallest movements. It was as if the vessel recognized her as its pilot and trusted her instincts. With each repair, Laura felt a growing bond with the ship, a connection that was both exhilarating and humbling. One evening, as Laura was reviewing the navigation systems, the ship pulsed violently, throwing her against the wall. Alarms rang silently through the hangar as panels shifted and lights danced across the floor. Kailara appeared, her expression urgent. She explained that the ship had detected a distant signal, a message sent across the stars long ago. The signal had triggered a partial activation, alerting the ship to potential threats. Laura's heart raced as she realized that the galaxy beyond her quiet starport was not as safe as she had imagined. There were forces watching, waiting for the ship to be awakened, and now they might be on their way. Despite the danger, Laura continued her work. She repaired the defensive systems, strengthened the shields, and learned to manipulate the energy conduits to protect the ship from external threats. Kailara taught her to understand the language of the ship, to interpret the subtle changes in energy and vibration. Laura discovered hidden compartments containing advanced weapons, communication devices, and tools that could alter space itself. Each discovery brought a mix of awe and responsibility. She realized that owning this ship meant more than curiosity or profit. It meant protecting a legacy that could change the balance of power across the galaxy. As she worked, Laura also learned more about Kailara. The Guardian had served the Emperor for centuries, guiding and protecting the ship through countless battles and conflicts. Her loyalty was unwavering, but she had grown weary of waiting. She had searched for a worthy pilot, someone who could awaken the ship and carry on the Emperor's legacy. Laura, with her courage, intelligence, and intuition, had proven herself. Kailara's presence became a source of comfort and guidance, a steady force amid the uncertainty of the awakening ship. Their bond deepened with each passing day, forming a partnership that transcended the boundaries between human and Guardian, pilot and vessel. One night, Laura sat in the cockpit, watching the stars through the transparent dome. The ship was fully awake now, its systems humming in harmony with her movements. Kailara appeared beside her, explaining that the ship was ready for its first true test. Laura's mind raced with possibilities. She could explore uncharted systems, encounter civilizations long forgotten, or defend the ship from those who sought to claim it. The weight of responsibility pressed on her, but she also felt a surge of excitement. She was no longer just a mechanic. She was the pilot of a vessel with a history spanning centuries, a guardian of secrets that could shape the galaxy. Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected movement in orbit around the starport. Laura's pulse quickened as she activated the defensive systems. Kailara guided her through the procedures, her voice calm but urgent. The ship's shields flared to life, energy rippling across the hull. Laura felt the connection between herself and the vessel deepen, the ship responding instinctively to her commands. Outside, 3 alien cruisers appeared, sleek and menacing. Their presence confirmed Kailara's warnings. The galaxy had taken notice of the ship's awakening, and forces loyal to the Emperor's enemies were on the move. Laura's mind raced as she prepared for the confrontation. She calibrated the weapons systems, strengthened the shields, and mapped potential escape routes. Kailara provided tactical guidance, her holographic form glowing with intensity. The ship's AI seemed to anticipate Laura's thoughts, adjusting systems in real time to optimize defense and maneuverability. As the cruisers closed in, Laura felt a mix of fear and determination. She knew that the coming encounter would test her skills, her bond with the ship, and her ability to protect the legacy she had inherited. With a deep breath, Laura activated the ship's engines, feeling the familiar hum resonate through her body. The vessel responded immediately, moving with fluid grace and power. She navigated through the hangar, emerging into open space as the alien cruisers closed in. Kalara provided real-time updates, pointing out weak spots in the enemy formation and suggesting maneuvers to gain the advantage. Laura followed her guidance, executing complex movements with precision. The ship responded as if alive, its systems working in perfect harmony with her commands. The cruisers fired, energy beams cutting through space toward the ship. Laura activated the shields, feeling the surge of power as they absorbed the impact. The ship's advanced systems analyzed the attacks, countering with precise adjustments and energy redirection. Laura marveled at the vessel's capabilities, realizing that she was now part of something far greater than herself. The bond she shared with the ship and Kalara was unbreakable, and together they could face any threat that came their way. As the battle unfolded, Laura understood that the awakening of the ship was only the beginning. She had stepped into a story that spanned galaxies, and her journey was just beginning. The day arrived when the quiet starport could no longer remain hidden. Alien cruisers emerged from the darkness of space, sleek and formidable. Their surfaces reflected the light of distant stars, and their engines left faint trails across the void. Laura Bennett stood at the cockpit of the awakened ship, her hands steady on the controls. The hangar had cleared, leaving only the ship ready for launch. Kalara hovered beside her in her holographic form, silver eyes glinting with determination. The Guardian had explained that the cruisers were searching for the Emperor's lost vessel. The signals the ship had once sent had alerted them, drawing them across vast distances. Laura understood that she had entered a conflict much larger than herself. The cruisers moved into formation, circling the starport. Laura could see the figures inside, alien beings uniformed and armed. They did not respond to communications, suggesting that their orders were strict and unquestioned. Kalara guided Laura through the defensive systems, showing her how to monitor the cruiser's energy signatures and calculate trajectories. The ship's systems responded instantly to Laura's commands, shields flaring as beams of light swept toward them. Despite her fear, Laura felt a surge of confidence. She was no longer just a human mechanic. She was a pilot connected to a vessel with unmatched technology. Aboard the alien ships, officers communicated in rapid sequences, coordinating maneuvers to encircle the starport. Laura realized that the enemy was both disciplined and experienced. They had likely followed the ship for years, tracking its signals, and now they had arrived in full force. Kalara explained that these were remnants of forces loyal to factions that had betrayed the Emperor long ago. Their objective was to claim the ship and any secrets it carried. Laura knew she could not allow that to happen. She activated the ship's navigation thrusters, preparing to lift off. The engines hummed with energy, responding to her intent. Panels shifted, revealing weapon systems and energy conduits she had been repairing for days. The ship was ready. With a deep breath, Laura lifted the ship from the hangar. It glided into open space, the hum of its engines harmonizing with her heartbeat. Kalara guided her through evasive maneuvers, demonstrating how to use the ship's advanced systems to evade detection and counterattack. Laura marveled at the vessel's responsiveness. Every movement felt intuitive, as if the ship understood her instinctively. The cruisers adjusted their positions, attempting to block escape routes, but the ship moved with unmatched agility. Laura felt a sense of exhilaration mixed with fear. The stakes were high, but she had never felt more alive. The first exchange came swiftly. Energy beams shot from the cruisers, striking the shields of the ship. Laura held her ground, adjusting the shields and redirecting power to weak points. Kalara provided precise instructions, her voice calm and focused. The ship responded instantly, absorbing impacts and countering with bursts of energy that disrupted the cruiser's formations. Laura realized that the vessel was more than a tool. It was an ally, a living extension of herself. Each decision she made was amplified by the ship, allowing her to act with precision and confidence. As the battle continued, Laura noticed subtle patterns in the cruiser's movements. They communicated through formations and energy signals, coordinating attacks and feints. Kalara explained that understanding these patterns could turn the tide of battle. Laura focused, analyzing the energy signatures and predicting the next moves. She maneuvered the ship in complex arcs, using the hangar's remnants as cover and the ship's energy fields to confuse the enemy. The cruisers fired relentlessly, but the vessel responded with agility and calculated countermeasures. Laura felt a growing bond with the ship, her instincts aligning with its systems in ways she had never imagined. During a brief lull, Laura reviewed the ship's memory logs. The vessel displayed holographic images of past battles, of fleets commanded by the Emperor, and of worlds under siege. Kailara explained that these memories were part of the ship's core, a record of history and strategy. Laura realized that the knowledge contained within could be crucial in defending against the current threat. She studied the patterns, the strategies, and the maneuvers used by the Emperor himself. It was overwhelming but inspiring. With Kalara's guidance, she began to adapt these strategies to the current battle, anticipating the cruisers' movements and predicting their next actions. The cruisers regrouped, attempting a coordinated attack from multiple vectors. Laura activated the ship's advanced weaponry, unleashing precise energy pulses that disrupted the cruisers' shields. Panels on the ship shifted, revealing hidden systems that had lain dormant for centuries. Laura guided the ship through complex maneuvers, using the knowledge gleaned from the ship's memories. Kalara's presence was constant, providing tactical guidance and encouragement. The bond between pilot and vessel grew stronger, and Laura felt a sense of unity she had never experienced before. As the battle raged, Laura detected a small signal emanating from one of the cruisers. It was weaker than the others, almost hidden within the communications network. Kalara suggested that it might be a message from an ally or a faction seeking to intervene. Laura decided to investigate, maneuvering the ship closer. The signal revealed a holographic projection of a female figure named Mira. She introduced herself as someone who had knowledge of the Emperor's hidden plans and warned that the cruisers were only the beginning. Laura listened intently, absorbing the information. Mira's presence offered hope, a potential ally in a galaxy filled with enemies and uncertainty. With the information provided by Mira, Laura adjusted her tactics. She coordinated with Kalara, analyzing the cruisers' movements and predicting their attacks. The ship responded with precision, shields flaring and energy pulses disrupting enemy formations. Laura executed complex maneuvers, weaving through space with confidence. The cruisers struggled to adapt to her strategies, their disciplined formations faltering under the combined knowledge of the pilot and the Guardian. Laura realized that she was no longer reacting to the battle. She was shaping it. Each decision she made influenced the outcome, and the ship responded as if it had always known her intentions. As the engagement continued, Laura felt a surge of determination. The starport below was vulnerable, filled with people and structures that could be damaged if the battle extended. She focused on controlling the fight, using the ship's capabilities to protect the area while countering the cruisers. Kalara guided her, suggesting maneuvers and energy reallocations. Laura executed each command with precision, feeling the ship respond instantly. The bond between them was complete, and she realized that she was no longer just a human mechanic piloting a strange vessel. She was a guardian of a legacy, a defender of a story that had spanned centuries. The battle reached a turning point when Laura identified a weak point in the cruiser's formation. Using the ship's advanced sensors, she calculated a precise trajectory and executed a coordinated strike. Energy beams converged on the target, disrupting the cruiser's systems and forcing them to retreat. Laura watched as the enemy ships disengaged, their movements slow and cautious. The immediate threat had passed, but Kalara warned that more challenges would come. The galaxy had taken notice of the awakened ship, and forces seeking the Emperor's legacy would not rest. In the aftermath, Laura took a moment to observe the stars. The battle had been intense, but she felt a sense of accomplishment and growth. She had piloted a vessel of unmatched power, bonded with a guardian who had served an emperor and faced enemies she had never imagined. The starport was safe for now, but the knowledge that the galaxy beyond was filled with both allies and adversaries weighed on her mind. Laura understood that this was only the beginning of her journey. With Kalara by her side and the awakened ship under her command, she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The legacy of the Emperor was now hers to protect, and she would rise to meet it. After the battle above the starport, Laura Bennett took time to study the alien ship and its systems more closely. She had grown familiar with most of the controls, but there was still so much she did not understand. Kalara remained beside her, offering guidance and encouragement. The holographic guardian explained that the ship contained memories and secrets that even she had not fully explored. The more Laura learned, the more she realized the Emperor's reach had been vast and the ship a repository of knowledge and power. She felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her, but also a sense of purpose. Owning the vessel was no longer just about adventure. It was about understanding a legacy and protecting it from those who would misuse it. The arrival of Mira had added another layer of intrigue. The mysterious figure provided details about the Emperor's life in hiding and the political turmoil within the astral dominion. She explained that the Emperor had faked his death to escape enemies within his own ranks and had entrusted Kaylara with the ship to protect until a worthy pilot could awaken it. Laura listened carefully, absorbing every word. Mira described how factions loyal to the Emperor had splintered, some seeking power, others seeking revenge. Laura realized that she had stumbled into a conflict that spanned decades, one that had been carefully hidden from ordinary humans. She felt a mixture of fear and determination, knowing that the decisions she made now could influence the balance of power across star systems. The days following the revelation were intense. Laura spent hours exploring hidden compartments and activating long-dormant systems. Kaylara guided her through encrypted memory banks, revealing holographic records of strategic battles, diplomatic encounters, and personal reflections of the Emperor. Laura was amazed at the depth of knowledge contained within the ship. The Emperor had been more than a ruler. He had been a visionary and a warrior. She could feel the essence of his decisions in the architecture of the vessel, in the way it responded to her actions. Each system she activated felt like unlocking a piece of history, connecting her to a lineage far greater than herself. Mira suggested that they venture beyond the starport to investigate signals detected from distant sectors. These signals hinted at hidden bases and allies who could provide intelligence about the splintered factions of the Astral Dominion. Laura agreed cautiously, knowing that leaving the relative safety of the starport would place them in greater danger. Kaylara assured her that the ship's defensive systems were fully operational, and that with careful maneuvering they could evade most threats. Laura felt a growing confidence as she prepared for the journey. She had learned to trust the ship, Kaylara, and her own instincts. Together they formed a team capable of facing unknown dangers and uncovering the secrets of the past. As they traveled, Laura reviewed the Emperor's records with Mira and Kaylara. They discovered references to battles waged in the far reaches of space, alliances forged with alien civilizations, and betrayals that had fractured the Empire. Each revelation deepened Laura's understanding of the galaxy and the complexity of the Emperor's decisions. She realized that his choice to hide among humans was both strategic and personal. He had sought refuge in a simpler life, while ensuring the survival of knowledge and systems that could guide future generations. Laura felt a sense of awe and humility, recognizing the immense responsibility now resting on her shoulders. One evening, as they navigated a remote star system, Laura detected a faint signal emanating from a hidden moon. The ship's sensors indicated that the signal was old but still active. Kaylara suggested that it might be a remnant of the Emperor's loyalists, a base that had been preserved to maintain continuity. Laura decided to investigate. They approached the moon cautiously, using the ship's advanced cloaking capabilities to avoid detection. As they descended through the atmosphere, hidden structures became visible beneath the surface. The architecture was alien yet familiar, echoing the design of the Emperor's vessel. Laura felt a sense of connection, as if stepping into a place where history had paused waiting for someone to arrive. Inside the hidden base, they found evidence of past conflicts and the remnants of advanced technology. Holographic projections displayed messages from the Emperor, detailing strategies and warnings for future guardians of his legacy. Mira studied the information intently, confirming that some of the systems could still be activated to provide intelligence and tactical advantages. Laura explored the corridors, her eyes wide with curiosity and wonder. The base was a treasure trove of knowledge, and she understood that it could be instrumental in defending against factions seeking the Emperor's power. The realization that she was now part of this long-hidden history filled her with determination. She knew that she had a role to play in completing what had been started long ago. Kaylara explained that the Emperor had anticipated challenges from both external enemies and internal betrayal. The base contained contingency plans, allowing loyalists to regroup and coordinate resistance. Laura felt the weight of responsibility knowing that she was now the keeper of these plans. Mira helped her understand the practical applications of the technology, showing how sensors, communication networks, and defensive systems could be integrated with the ship. Laura felt a growing sense of mastery as she learned to operate the combined capabilities of the vessel and the base. The power at her fingertips was immense, but she understood that wisdom and strategy were essential to using it effectively. The revelation of the Emperor's hidden life and the secrets contained within the ship and base transformed Laura's understanding of her own capabilities. She realized that her mechanical skills and intuitive understanding of complex systems were valuable, but the journey required more than technical knowledge. It required courage, judgment, and a sense of responsibility that reached beyond her own safety. She began to see herself not just as a pilot, but as a guardian and a leader in a galaxy that had long been shaped by forces she was only beginning to understand. Kailara and Mira became mentors and allies, guiding her through the process of awakening not just the ship but her own potential. Together they prepared for the challenges ahead, knowing that the galaxy would test their resolve and the strength of their unity. Laura Bennett felt the weight of responsibility as the alien ship hovered above the hidden base. The journey so far had been filled with discoveries, battles, and revelations about the Emperor and his lost empire. Now she understood the significance of the vessel and the power it held. Kailara remained by her side in her holographic form, offering guidance and reassurance. Mira studied the base's records, searching for information that could aid them in the challenges ahead. The galaxy beyond was vast and dangerous, filled with factions seeking to claim the Emperor's legacy. Laura knew that she had to act wisely and decisively. The ship was fully awakened, its systems harmonized with her instincts, and the knowledge of the Emperor was now at her disposal. The first order of business was to secure the base and integrate it with the ship. Laura and Kailara worked together to connect communication networks, defensive systems, and sensors. Mira assisted by analyzing the data and identifying potential threats. The base became an extension of the ship, a command center capable of monitoring distant sectors and coordinating strategies. Laura marveled at the technology, feeling both awe and determination. The work was meticulous and required patience, but she embraced it fully. She understood that preparation was essential, and every decision she made could influence the outcome of future confrontations. Once the systems were integrated, Laura focused on training and familiarizing herself with the ship's full capabilities. Kailara guided her through advanced maneuvers, teaching her how to manipulate energy fields, control defensive shields, and utilize weaponry with precision. Laura's skills grew rapidly, and she began to understand the ship not just as a vessel but as a living entity that responded to her thoughts and intentions. Mira provided tactical insights, drawing on knowledge of the Emperor's strategies and the splintered factions seeking power. Together, they developed plans to protect the base, the ship, and the legacy they now guarded. The galaxy did not wait. Soon, sensors detected approaching vessels, enemy ships that had been tracking the awakened ship across star systems. Laura felt a surge of determination as she prepared for the coming battle. The ship responded instantly, energy flowing through its systems and shields flaring to life. Kailara's presence provided calm guidance, while Mira analyzed the enemy's movements and suggested tactical maneuvers. Laura piloted the ship with precision, using her knowledge of the Emperor's strategies and her intuitive understanding of the vessel's capabilities. The enemy approached in formation, their intentions clear. They sought to claim the ship and the power it represented. The battle began with a series of precise energy exchanges. The ship's shields absorbed incoming fire while Laura countered with calculated bursts aimed at disrupting the enemy's formation. Panels shifted to reveal hidden weapon systems, energy beams flaring in response to her commands. The ship moved with agility and purpose, anticipating the enemy's maneuvers and responding instantly to Laura's intentions. Kailara provided guidance, her voice calm and focused, while Mira monitored communications and energy signatures. Laura felt a deep connection to the ship, a unity that allowed her to act decisively and with confidence. As the engagement intensified, Laura identified weaknesses in the enemy's formation. Using the ship's advanced sensors and knowledge from the Emperor's records, she executed coordinated attacks that disrupted their approach. Energy beams flared and shields rippled, creating openings that the ship exploited with precision. The enemy struggled to adapt, their formations faltering under the combined knowledge and skill of Laura, Kailara, and Mira. Laura realized that her role was not just to react but to shape the battle, to anticipate and counter strategies with insight and intuition. The ship responded as if alive, its systems working in perfect harmony with her commands. During the battle, Laura discovered a hidden signal emanating from one of the enemy vessels. It contained fragmented messages and commands, evidence of coordination by a higher authority. Kailara explained that this could be a clue to the origin of the forces pursuing them. Laura decided to intercept and analyze the signal. With careful maneuvering, she positioned the ship to capture the data without exposing the base to danger. The intercepted messages revealed plans of attack and the locations of other ships, providing valuable intelligence. Laura shared the findings with Mira, who confirmed that the information could be used to anticipate future attacks and develop defensive strategies. The revelation strengthened their position and boosted Laura's confidence. The battle reached a climax when the enemy launched a coordinated assault aimed at the ship's core systems. Laura responded with precision, manipulating energy fields and deploying countermeasures. The ship's advanced technology allowed her to redirect energy, absorb attacks, and strike critical points with accuracy. Kailara provided guidance, highlighting vulnerabilities and suggesting maneuvers. Mira analyzed the battlefield, offering tactical insights. Together, they executed a series of maneuvers that turned the tide of the battle. The enemy's formations collapsed and their ships retreated under pressure. Laura had successfully defended the ship, the base, and the legacy she now carried. In the aftermath, Laura took a moment to reflect. The battle had tested her skills, judgment, and courage. She had piloted a vessel of immense power, bonded with a guardian who had served an emperor, and relied on the insights of a mysterious ally. The galaxy had revealed both its dangers and its wonders. Laura understood that this was only the beginning of her journey. The ship was fully awakened, and she had grown into her role as its pilot and protector. Kailara expressed pride and relief, acknowledging that Laura had proven herself worthy of the responsibility she now held. Mira confirmed that the intelligence gathered would aid in future missions and ensure the continued protection of the Emperor's legacy. As the stars stretched out before her, Laura felt a profound sense of connection and purpose. She had become part of a story that spanned centuries, a guardian of knowledge, power, and history. The ship hummed gently beneath her, responding to her presence and intentions. Kailara's voice echoed in her mind, a constant reminder of guidance and loyalty. Mira's support provided strategic insight and understanding. Laura looked out into the vastness of space, knowing that challenges would come, allies would emerge, and enemies would seek to test her resolve. Yet she felt ready. The legacy of the Emperor was now in her hands, and she would carry it forward with courage, wisdom, and determination. In a quiet moment, Laura reflected on how far she had come. From a simple mechanic working on scrap ships at the edge of a starport, she had awakened an alien vessel of unimaginable power. She had learned the secrets of an emperor, bonded with a guardian, and formed alliances that spanned galaxies. Her journey had transformed her, revealing strengths and capabilities she had never known. The ship had become an extension of herself, and she understood that their fates were intertwined. Together, they would navigate the challenges ahead, protect the legacy entrusted to them, and explore the vast reaches of the stars. Laura Bennett, once a human mechanic, had become the captain of a vessel that carried the history, power, and hope of an empire long hidden among the stars.